But he wasn't like set up in advance. He just went up there, right? I mean, that's how they.
He had a rangefinder. Okay, so the kid was walking around the whole perimeter of the area with a rangefinder, which is instantaneously. If you're Secret Service, you see someone with a rangefinder walking 150 yards from where the president is, you tackle that fucking guy. You don't let that guy get on a ladder.
Yeah, this is your Super Bowl. What the fuck are you doing?
He brought a ladder. The guy didn't just bring a rifle. He got through there with a rifle and a ladder.
The official story they're trying to give us is that some 20-year-old acting completely alone with really no motivation to do it. He's not left any trail of anything. He walked within 150 yards of a presidential campaign rally with a rifle and a ladder, rangefinder, climbed on top of a rooftop that was in full view of Secret Service snipers, mind you, set up his sniping position and fired a shot without anyone intervening or trying to stop him.
$100 billion now or more to Ukraine. He's given $200 billion. That's a lot of money. I don't think there's ever been anything like it. Every time that Zelensky comes to this country, he walks away with $60 billion. He's the greatest salesman ever. And I'm not knocking him. I'm not knocking anything. I'm only saying the money that we're spending on this war, and we shouldn't be spending, it should have never happened. I will have that war settled between Putin and Zelensky as president-elect before I take office on January 20th. I'll have that war settled. People being killed so needlessly, so stupidly, and I will get it settled, and I'll get it settled fast before I take office.
Why didn't they forcibly bundle him out in case there'd been a second shooter? I mean, there are a lot of questions.
I mean, that was, again, the next stage of bungled management and response to this situation. So when an attack happens, the first thing that you do as a protection team, and I've done this, is to take the principle of what we call the X, i.e. X marks the spot. What we saw there, and I've had a few pundits, which I don't really hold any credence for, who've questioned me saying, actually, Trump evidently had some training because the moment the shots rang out, he shot to the ground. And some people will say, oh, yes, you'd automatically do that. Well, unless you've actually been under gunfire, it isn't necessarily that straightforward. But he would have had training, inevitably, to say, you get to the ground as quickly as you possibly can. The Secret Service then bundled him around him. There were female members of the US Secret Service, and this is nothing against female operators. I've worked alongside some absolute commensurate professionals who are females within the security sector. But these women were, number one, half the size of Trump, so provided zero human shielding. And secondly, they didn't take him off the X. They held him there. Hence why that very epic photograph came out of him punching the air and shouting, fight, fight, fight. Still in the same position by the podium. He should have been moved so quickly. And then we see some footage, which I'm sure you have as well, of the female Secret Service agents fumbling their weapons, unable to reholster them, showing a distinct lack of any kind of muscle memory. Need I go on, Alex?
So what I did is I took 5 different measurements, and from those 5 different measurements, I drew lines and extrapolated for the orientation of Trump's head out to the unknown, out to the right. And so what I did is I dropped the line to the left, I dropped the line to the right, and I came to an average. When I came to an average, it pointed at the position that the news organizations were saying that Kurtz was in, not to the actual position where his body was discovered. So that confused me even more. And so I started looking for video to see, well, because the images I were looking at were just the Google Maps, where they really don't give you any elevation of the building. So given my lines were going to the position that the news organizations were placing him, I wanted to determine what is below that, because certainly there can't be 2 shooters on that roof, one in the position where all the news organizations are putting him in, and then the other position where his body was found. And so we go to the next slide to again show that his body is indeed to the far right. And so then finally the slide number 6, where I have the white line and the yellow line. The white line represents the calculated trajectory that I could do from Crook's shooting position, which is where his dead body was. And as I drew the line to the left, I discovered from video from Sky News, helicopter video, that there's a second floor window that perfectly lines up with that trajectory. And not only is there a second floor window, but the video footage clearly shows that that second floor window is open.
То, что господин Трамп, как кандидат в президенты, заявляет о том, что он готов и хочет остановить войну на Украине, мы к этому относимся вполне серьезно. Я не знаком, разумеется, с его возможными предложениями по поводу того, как он собирается это сделать. И это, конечно, ключевой вопрос. Но я не сомневаюсь, что он говорит это искренне, и мы это поддерживаем.